I need to do the intro now.
I've got to do it quick because I've got to go get my fireworks.
Right,
I've got to be home to get changed and then go back out again.
Welcome back to another episode of RecTalk. I'm your host Nitin Sharma, CEO, founder of RecTools.io. I'm having to do this quick because this is being filmed at the end of the podcast because she's absolutely ruined my flow. But my guest today is Gabi from Tooled Up Racoons.
Yay!
Yeah. Right, and then I'll cut there and we'll jump into. I'll pick it up midway through the conversation before we start chatting shit about people and then go from there.
Yeah, probably take the not chatting shit bit. Be like.
Oh.
You definitely had the wrong woman earlier. I think she would have been like...
Mate, honestly, I was like, is this a character she just puts on there, like, or what? Like, because she's really weirdly subdued.
You're like, I don't know this woman.
Honestly, and I was like...
Gabby doesn't... I don't think subdued has ever been a word that someone's used to me.
Am I fucking losing the plot here?
What have I invited? You're panicking. You're like, what the fuck have I invited on my podcast?
Like, what the fuck's happening? And then, do you remember it's like that fucking BBC... thing, that guy when he turned up and he was there for an interview and ended up on live TV.
Yes.
I was like, that's what would have happened. Thank God she was like, why are you moving furniture around for? I was like, for the podcast, you weird. What?
I love it, honestly. I would have just loved it so much if she just said nothing and sat down and been like... But you honestly, the heart palpitations must be like, oh my God, this is going to be like the most boring podcast in the world.
Oh no, I've had that before, yeah.
Have you?
Halfway through the podcast, I was like, and do you know, he's a nice guy. He's boring. And I was like...
That's why I don't tend to listen to podcasts and stuff, because I'm a bit like, fuck my life. Like, who's the big guy? Fuck, what's his name? Diary of a CEO, Steve Bartlett.
Oh, fucking hell.
Fuck, but like, everyone's like, Gabby, you need to listen to it. And I was like, honestly, if I want to get some kip, he's the dude for me.
I'll put it on. Yeah.
I find it so boring. And I find, the thing is, I'm just like, when did it become cool to be boring? Like, really, like, when you listen to people talk...
Who the fuck is listening to this shit? Like, I get bored listening to, like...
Because he's worth millions and millions of dollars. Like, if he was worth nothing,
no one
would you listen to his shit?
People are just waiting for that. Like, everyone wants this, like, get rich quick.
Yeah.
Like,
they think listening to him will make you rich, but actually,
I
he's
read
wasting...
this book and I did this and I did that. Oh, yeah, that's great.
Someone said to me, actually, they were like, you should listen to him. And I was like, why should I listen to him? And they're like, because the way he talks, it's so calm and he's very controlled and sounds very mature, where you're really hyperactive. And I was like, you mean I'm not fucking boring? Okay, cool. Awesome, just so we're clear.
Yeah, it's like, your lips are moving, but all I'm hearing is about
It really is, honestly. I just couldn't. Like, I used to be really quiet. When I was in banking, it was very much like, you have to be quiet, Gabs. Like, you have to be that, like, be seen and not heard.
Yeah.
And I
was in retail banking. I got up to a branch manager.
Wow.
And I was like, how the fuck am I doing this? Like, every time I'm having to deal with something serious, I'm inside, I'm just like, say this.
Yeah.
Shut up, you little chip.
You are. You're like, can I say it? See, I had that problem when I left banking. Someone said to me, I bumped into this woman, she was managing director, and we came across each other on LinkedIn, and she randomly messaged me and went, loving your content, loving seeing the person you've developed into, all this kind of stuff, really lovely. And she was like, my favourite memory of you, Gabby, was sitting in a meeting full of managing directors. I think I was an associate at the time, so I was quite junior in the food chain. And someone said something, and your face literally was like, you're a fucking twat. And she was like, it was all over your face. And I was like, the problem is, when I think you're doing something stupid, it tends to be based on a fact, not just I think you're an idiot. The problem is you're not allowed to say it.
I really respect the sort of the viewpoint of, like, you know, don't lie.
Yeah.
You know, but or you know, at least tell the truth.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, if someone said something to piss you off, tell them.
Call it.
Tell them. I don't like that.
See, I don't think
we don't have to fall out about it.
No.
We don't have to, you know, we don't have to, like, turn this into a thing.
No.
But you've done something. There's no point in me stewing on it and sitting and be like.
But that's when you fall out, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you do
this little thing that's happened, you've created a fucking issue out of.
And you can't even remember why.
Yeah, in fact, I didn't like that you did that.
See, this is why I don't have many female friends.
I don't think it's a male-female thing.
No, I find men tolerate me, but Maybe it is because I'm quite like, if I see something, I will say it kind of thing. And I do, although it shouldn't be a male female thing, I do find men are just better at being like, yeah, all right, Gabs, actually, fair point. Where if I do something like that to a girl, they're like, you thought this, and they blow it into this big thing, and I'm like, I didn't mean it. I say what I mean, and I don't ever do it in a way to be rude or to be malice. It's just like, look, you did this upset me because of X, Y, and Z. I want to say it out loud because I don't think you did it on purpose. It's like, if I thought you did it on purpose, you and I wouldn't be mates and this conversation wouldn't be happening, because I don't believe in wasting my time with people. But I want us to talk about it so we can go, okay, cool, have a cup of tea. And
that's it. Line drawn.
I'll never talk about it again.
You know my position, I know your position, that's it.
But I think we should do that like with clients as well. I find it amazing in recruitment. Like when you listen to people go, oh, my client's an idiot. Like constantly. One of the things I love doing, and this is like, my background is in operations and I was a relationship manager. So that's my core, right? And I just remember walking into Mitch's recruitment business and he was like, this client, we've got inefficiencies here, and here. And I kind of tore them apart and went, what I'm going to do is implement 360 reviews. And he went, they're not employees. I was like, they are. We are an extension of them and they're an extension of us. We are one big happy family, whether you like it or not. And I implemented these meetings. I was like, it's once a month. We're going to sit down, whether it's 15 minutes or half an hour. You're going to tell me the good, the bad, the ugly of what we've done, and I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, the ugly. And then what we're going to do is have an agreement of the steps we're going to put in place to build and bridge those gaps. What is going to happen in the next couple of quarters is you and I are going to have to stop. We will stop speaking every month, because what will happen is the process will be so slick, we shouldn't need to talk. If we are still talking on a monthly basis, something's not working, and maybe this isn't the right dynamic. But I think people don't have the balls in case a client goes, piss off, or go and use someone else. If they wanted to be using someone else, they wouldn't be in bed with you right now. That's just fact.
It's not hard to go and find them in the recruitment agency.
Oh my God, you literally sneeze. And like, what are we doing here? So I think there are a lot of agencies that they could go and get, but I do still think they struggle to find the real ones that are worth hanging around with.
I used to say to my guys all the time, if they're moaning about a candidate or they're moaning about a client, we play a game called Tell 'em. Every time they'd be like, or if they're moaning about each other and stuff, like, oh, fucking, tell them.
Yes, have the balls.
And then they're like, well, if you're not going to tell them, don't sit there and bitch about it. If you're going to say, oh, I think this candidate's going to bomb, tell them. Ring that candidate up and say, listen, I have a gut feeling that you're not going to attend that interview on Monday. Why do you think that? These reasons. Oh, I'm going to be, alright, fair enough. Do you know what, I'll level with you, I wasn't going to go.
Call it.
I fucking knew it.
But it's done, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. I'll rip the band-aid off. So the whole tell them. And I'll try and do that in sort of the work we're doing now. It's like, if somebody's been a knob, I'll tell them.
You have
if somebody's got a better way of doing things, I'll tell them. I love that, I'm going to do that. What do you mean? I'm going to do that, I like that. Well, it's my thing. I'm tough shit. I'm going to do it. You're going to cry about it if you see me doing it and I haven't told you. So what I've done is I've told you, listen, I really like that. I'm going to emulate that.
But it's not your thing. Like, it's so defensive. You didn't. I mean, full credit to you. If you've come up with the most amazing idea in the world and no one has ever had that thought in the world, okay, you can be pissy for like 10 seconds. But then what you do is actually, the way I always think about it, if someone comes to me and goes, Gab, that's a really cool idea. Let's be honest, most people don't have the balls to tell me what they're going to do. They'll just do it and you kind of see it. And actually, I'm more pissed off if you don't tell me you're going to do it, because then I'm like, I'm never going to tell you anything again because I can't trust you to say to my face. But my rule of thumb is, I'm okay with people taking ideas I've had. I find it a huge compliment. The thing I know is they're going to execute it in a different way to me. No idea is the same. Execute it.
Exactly right. It might be really easy to spend loads of people.
I would love to spend, but do you know what? That's why. Like, it's been a really interesting journey where people have actually often looked at me and gone, do you know what? If you've got funding or you got someone else's money, you could do A, B, C, D, and E. And I was like, I could do. But what's been interesting is what I've learned over the last 4 years by not doing it. And Mitch and I always sit down, and it's been brutal, don't get me wrong. Like, people look at my social media going, oh, you guys are flying. It's two of us. We've got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, of which the 2-year-old's still at home with us full time. So Mitch and I split hours, we split shifts. But what's most important, actually, we've had to do all the jobs. And people are like, quickly get it off your plate so you can scale and you do this. What's interesting though is being able to go, right, I've done the marketing. I've had the conversations with TAs in huge organisations. I've had conversations with TAs in startups. I've had conversations with small agencies, big agencies. I'm here doing this. I've done the full cycle. Mitch is our head of product. He has picked and chosen and designed every single piece of our features himself, and he coordinates our developers. Now where we're at is actually, I could take someone's money because I would do things properly because I've spent the time understanding, like you're saying about podcasting, get your rhythm, get your processes, get your stuff.
Don't do that, do more of that.
I've got the pains. When the money is spent, it's spent wisely rather than being like, oh, I need all this money on day one.
It's the Mexican fisherman story. Do you know have you ever heard that? Oh, no. It's fucking brilliant. There's a Mexican fisherman and a guy, a Wall Street banker, goes and sits next to him. He was like, oh, hey man, what do you do? And he was like, oh, I'm a fisherman. I spend a few hours a day fishing, take the fish that I catch, go to that shack over there, sell it to the restaurants, and then I spend the rest of my day just, milling around, play with the grandkids, watch the sun come up, watch the sun go down, next day do it again. And he's like, what we could do, you could go and get investment, and then you can teach another 7 or 8 people to fish, and then once they've made enough money, and once you've made enough money there, you can scale that to getting fisher boats and go out and get the real good stuff and sell it to all the big restaurants around here, and we can grow and scale this enterprise to a point where you become the sole supplier of all restaurants and all the fish comes from your factory and that kind of thing. And then we'll probably be able to sell that for 8 figures, 9 figures. It'd be a really good operation. And he's like, all right, okay. And he's like, yeah, just think about what you could do. Then you'd be able to retire. And he's like, oh, all right, cool. He's like, what would you do when you retired? He's like, probably fish for a few hours a day, spend time with the grandkids, go for a walk, watch the sun come up and down. Yeah. And the guy's like, I don't need to do that. I don't need that. All of that doesn't fulfill me. No. I'm already doing the shit that I want to do.
Yeah, leave me be.
And this is where I'm at the minute, because I've had loads of different people like, oh, we could do this with you, and this is great, and you'd be a great frontman for this sort of product and this sort of project. And I'm like, look, I get to take my kids to school every fucking day.
Yep.
I get to pick them up, I cook their dinners, I put them to bed at night. My wife has to work stupid hours. And so I get to do all the shit that my dad never did with me. And I get to do all of that. And I get to do things like this. I get to do things that I want to do.
That fulfill you.
What do you do for a living? I've got a tech platform. I do podcasting. I do this. I do that. I get to do that as part of my job. Yeah. I'm retired and so now I dabble in these things. This is what I do. This is my life.
You're living it, right? You're living your retirement.
That's it. And it's like, that's the bit that you don't understand. I don't need to do all of that because when I've done all of that, I'm going to end up doing all this again anyway.
Yeah, because you'll go back to where you wanted to. But I think so many people are chasing that money. Like they would have heard 8-9 figures, and I'm part of a couple of tech groups, as you'd imagine, and I hear all their raising and what they've done and all this stuff, and it's like, I will get there. I will make that money, and I will do what I want to do because I have a very clear vision on where the business is going, but I'm going to do it our way. Mm-hmm. And I will take funding when the time is right, from the right people, at the right time. I'm not going to be pressured to do it.
And the thing is, the time to take funding is when it's time for you and Mitch to take a step back and go, we need to now just run the operation and we need to replicate that. This is where I'm at.
And don't get me wrong, I'm excited for that. I'm like, someone do some of the work.
This is where I'm at. Is like, I'm going to take the funding, but I'm not taking the funding to hire a bunch of SDRs or spunk it in a bit of marketing. No, I need to hire 3 people that can basically be me. Yeah. Take over what I've done, do what I've done, but do it better. Create your little space in the market, take over the podcast from me, and I can step back into CEO founder chair and be like, right, where's the long-term vision here?
Yeah. And you do need to do that, right? Because if you don't get to step back, and that's, as much as it's been nice doing the 4 years worth of learning and scar collection, as I call it, you do need those moments to step back and go, actually, this and this and this is done. These people are running it. They're scaling it.
Because I've done this 4 years of this, I'm now better equipped to look ahead and go, the next 4 years need to look like this.
Yeah, if I'd had investment, do you know what? 4 years ago, if someone had thrown $1 million at me, not that I would have needed $1 million, but if they'd thrown $1 million at me, I probably would have burnt through it. I probably would have had 60 iterations. I would have hired all the wrong people, and it was interesting.
All on the wrong things.
Well, we were hiring a couple of months. Well, was it 6 months ago? We were starting hiring, and I was like, I really want kind of a salesperson to take on almost like a sales marketing kind of vibe. Like everything I've done, like our client base is all driven by the content. People getting to know me, people learning to trust me, because I think that's really important. I don't think you should ever buy tech if you don't trust the person on the other end of the phone. And I never buy tech if I don't trust you. Like, it's just a given. If I wouldn't trust you with my money, why would I do business with you? But it's been, I don't know, it's just been a really interesting journey going through that and kind of seeing it and growing. But as I went to look to hire, everyone was like, you need to hire. It's the only way you're going to scale. And I started looking at people with that panic. I need to hire someone. And I was looking at all these people. And I remember looking at Mitch being like, I want to hire this type of caliber candidate, not this kind of caliber candidate. And I said, that's going to take time. And he was like, where do you find someone like that? I was like, by being patient.
And by building the brand to a point where somebody, I'm that good and I want to be part of that.
100%.
That's the difference.
Yep.
Hiring people is easy.
Yeah.
You can hire anyone.
One of the rule of thumbs we've had, and people when they look at our business and the size of our team are like, oh, you're just small. My rule of thumb, and actually our rule of thumb, it's not just mine, it's me and Mitch's business, has always been, if you find a roadblock in your business, sit down and check yourself. Check your businesses, check your processes, check your operational performance. If you have a gap and you can fill it with a technical solution or a tweak to an operational cycle, tweak it. Don't just hire. When you see big businesses so inflated with human beings that they're suddenly like, I've sacked 50,000 people. A, it's fucking brutal because no one should be sacking that many people.
No,
but
and also
B,
the other side of it is, well, did you need 50,000 people?
They didn't.
Though? You clearly didn't.
They didn't.
Yeah.
It was shit processes that they were like, oh, I'm really, really busy. Like recruitment agencies do this a lot. They'll have an influx of work
but scale
and they
in
hire
recruitment,
people.
because in scale in recruitment is seen as a good thing.
Honestly.
I ran a recruitment business that had 20 heads. Oh, you did great. Hang on.
What's your profit
What was
margin?
your revenue? What was your profit? Yeah. What did you actually do with it? What happened to it? Like, oh, we're not going to talk about that.
But
It had
everyone-
20 heads, 50
But
heads.
everyone sees that.
150 heads.
No.
Yeah.
Like when we pitch for business now, people are like, so what's the size of your team? It's like me, Mitch, and 8 developers. And our 8 developers are contracted in because I don't need
them sat there playing fucking Snake.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong, we've been developing for 4 years. So it has, I'm one of those tech stacks that's like, we keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And Mitch is a complete perfectionist, which makes him a pain in my ass sometimes, but it means that our clients get the best of the best. And that's okay. And they're just like, well, it's too small. You've not scaled. You're not successful. I was like, on what piece of paper? I was like, already this year, I've made the same amount of money as I did last year in the first part of the year.
Yeah. And
So, and I don't need 1 million staff. I will tell you when I need someone, but right now you just trust.
But these
I've
are
got
the
you.
same people that want everyone back in the office, because at home you're having to do the dishes and mop the floor, whereas at work they get to tell people how important they are.
To be fair,
That
I do kind of miss being in an office though. I'll be honest. I'm going to say it.
It's nice to be in an office, but you're not insisting that you take on an office space so that you and Mitch can walk around fucking
lording it
over people.
No.
Where there's the idiots that are out there that are banging on about everyone should be back in the office. Well, 9 out of 10 of them were basically middle-aged businessmen who used to feel important at the office because they get to flirt with the secretary.
Forward slash they've hired the wrong people, so they don't actually trust them.
Yeah.
So we're going back to our conversation of would you trust them with the keys to the kingdom?
That's it.
The answer is no. But it's funny, I think I've got a really mixed vibe about the work from home, work in the office. And I love working from home. Like Mitch and I, one of the first things we did when we moved to the countryside was there was an old summer house and we converted it to an office. Bearing in mind I just had Maria, so she was screaming her lungs out, bless her. So it was like actually we needed a little hub in the garden. But what's been interesting is a couple of months ago we went and looked at an office because we were like, actually it'd be really nice to be around other people, to kind of vibe off, to bounce off.
That's what you're looking for.
I'm looking for the vibe.
Yeah, what you're looking. Yeah, so for me, WeWork had it kind of, because where I think they went wrong, we know the original concept of it, because actually now they're just not very good at talking about it. But for £25. You can have a desk at WeWork. You can use WeWork, right? You just turn on like a pod.
Yeah.
Right?
And just chill out.
And just go, I need to be around people today. I'm going to go and do that.
Yeah.
So why business is not just doing that, right?
Well, this is the thing.
Like,
If you're in London,
if I'm growing this out, I'm going to go, right, guys, it's remote. But I'll tell you what, get to Birmingham on next Friday. We'll have a WeWork for the day, and we'll just fucking have a day in the office.
But there's something about the vibe of an office, right? Because I remember when I was working, because we used to live in Essex until 2 years ago, and I remember bouncing into the city, I'd go into a WeWork, I'd meet clients, right, all really lush. And then I moved further afield where there isn't a WeWork, there is an equivalent of it. And I went and test drove it the other week. Bear in mind, I'm not a particularly quiet human being. And when I'm on a call, this level of animation is what's on the call.
Yeah. My headphones are in, I don't know how loud I'm being.
No, I had to take myself, I was literally like, I did my first call and was like, it was literally tumbleweed. And I left and I was like, Mitch, one day, do you know what I want to do? And he looked at me and went, what? And I went, we're going to buy a house on the lakes. This is our dream. I don't know if you've ever been to the Cotswolds, but we have...
Cotswolds. No. Well, no, I have, yeah, well, Oxfordshire and stuff.
We're an hour and 20 minutes. Get your ass over, right? Come and have a cuppa, right? We'll do a podcast in my lounge, right? Deal. And there's loads of lakes, but there's these massive lake houses, and they are stunning. And I looked at Mitch and went, I want to buy one of those when I'm older. Or not when I'm older. Next week?
Yeah.
Dream big, right? Where's the investment money? You're going to go buy me an office.
Yeah. What are you doing with my money?
And I want to fill it with creative people.
Yeah.
Like people who are in tech, who are trying to create new tech concepts, who are in startups, and are like, I don't want to sit on my own, because actually creating a piece of tech is creative.
These things do exist, but again, they're in the big cities.
They're in the big cities.
Birmingham, we've got like Barclays Eagle Labs.
Yes.
And that's like the same concept.
But I want the vibe, I want the bounce. Have you ever watched a film called Why Him?
No.
Okay, add it to the things to do tonight when the kids are asleep. It's not a kids rated film. Mitch and I watched it years and years ago, and whenever we're having a bit of a wobble with the business, being like, oh God, what are we doing? Because we all have it, right? Confessions of a tech owner. You're sitting there going, geez, I'm dragging people to the finish line because they're overburdened with tech. Just the reality we live in. I watched that film and everything about it. He has this big mansion, right? He's the guy who, was it the Gorilla Chase film? Game on your phone?
Oh, yeah.
I never played it personally, never had it. But he had this big mansion and all his developers are in his house. And he's like, he's like, do you, they're there for you? And he's like, I don't know, kind of thing. But they're just vibing and they're chilling and they're rocking it. I love that.
The original iterations of things like Facebook and stuff was like, isn't it? It was just a bunch of devs
just
rent out
rocking
someone's
it.
house and just fucking right, this is what we're doing.
But I think companies should.
But then it was the same with like a lot of these sidemen. Sidemen exactly the same. They all rented a house and just moved in together, and we just be like, right, we're working, but we're also.
I think it's lush. I think it's a vibe, but I also think like with the startup world, like if you look at us, right, like I said, small business, small squad, keeping it lean, we'll scale when necessary. But there's lots of other techies out there that actually, I think tech vibing is a very different environment. Like to have a house full of techies, all doing their own thing, rocking their own world, but just needing to go into the kitchen and go, this code just broke and blah, blah, blah. This client just did this, or I just did this pitch and this guy said, right, whatever. There is a dark side to owning a tech company, like obviously like there is with recruitment, like owning anything. We spoke about networking groups, all the complexities and challenges, but just having a house full of people who are mega creative, who want to push boundaries.
Level. And I think,
on the same level.
I hate to say it, especially this day and age, because everyone apparently has it, but it's an ADHD thing. Yeah. We need people like us because that's what we feel normal.
Yeah.
And so, because you talk fast and you're very, and I'm the same, and under normalised situations, we have to kind of rein it in a lot.
Yeah.
Like I work for the whole.
Maybe that's why I find other people's podcasts boring.
Yeah,
I put them on 2 and I'm like, I'm done. Right, done. I've learned it. It's on speed 2. Merry Christmas. I'm happy.
Yeah, I'll do that. And I work at the Holiday Inn for every now and then. And
what still?
Yeah. Well, we used to have the office and stuff, and then I like to just go and do
shut down time.
Yeah, so I go Holiday Inn every now and then. And there's the same sort of people, and they're sat there all in their little business suits, and they're doing this and they're doing that. And I'm there, and I'm on Teams, and I'm laughing, and I'm looking around, I'm like, these guys must hate me. They just fucking hate me. Because even the people that work like at the bar and stuff will kind of walk past, and they'll look over because I'm swearing or saying something. Comparing them to everybody else. It's like, I'll have another coffee, please.
And then they say nothing.
Yeah, and I'm like, can I have a chocolate brownie?
You're like, I'm here.
It's like 3 o'clock and I'm like, I really fancy a chocolate brownie. Can I have a chocolate brownie?
Do you know what? I'm glad you say it, because it is like, someone said to me ages ago, actually, probably 4 or 5 months ago, they're like, I reckon you've got ADHD. I was like, yeah, whatever. I've got dyslexia, might as well add something else. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not into labelling, but it's really interesting when they said it, because I suddenly looked at Mitch and just said to him, I was like, what do you reckon? He went, oh, don't be a twat, Gabs. Right? He's very cool as it is, probably hence why we've been married so long. But I started doing a little bit of research and digging around about it, but your point is valid. Like, I find that there's some environments where I feel like I have to diffuse Gabi and like be a little bit more of a, I don't know, muggle. Muggle minus ADHD, right? Because I am noisy, I am loud, I do speak quickly. Like a lot of people I've spoken to is like, Gabs, when I get a voice note from you, I have to try and put it on -0.5 just to control you.
Figure this out.
But but it's then very hard to find an environment where you can go in and just be noisy and like I'm here and I'm present and find people to vibe with.
Because we work best in that.
Yeah, I do.
That's the reality of it. I work in little bursts, and I like to have my stop for a minute and chat shit to somebody or whatever, and then go back to it again.
Yeah, 100% need it.
And when you're working on your own or whatever, or even like in a week work or whatever, you don't know these people.
Nope.
And you're just like, fuck, and they don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
No.
They don't really get it. I'm going to sit here and explain just did this and then this has happened. Oh, okay.
See, I end up making friends with like the bar staff. So there's a Devere near us. So that's my kind of spot. And I go and sit in a particular position where you can hear everything and see everything. Like that, for me, being in a very noisy environment does kind of give me a bit of energy.
Focus.
It does. I can't work in silence.
My wife said to me, there's something wrong with your hearing. I'm like, no, there's not, because I can hear the weirdest things. Do you know what I mean? I was like, peripherally, I can hear like conversations going on over there.
I love it.
But you're talking to me and I'm just switched off. And I was like, it's not because my hearing's bad, it's because for whatever reason, I'm more interested in what this person over there is saying, and that person over there saying, than what you're telling me.
It's
and that's so
And you're still married?
Yeah. I was, I got in early. I married my childhood sweetheart, and so
Did so?
Yeah, sort of just hooked myself.
Yeah, just get it done, right? Yeah, Mitch
it must be the same then. So do you sometimes you have this feeling of like, God, you hold me back. Like I could be doing all sorts of weird and wonderful shit, and then the realization hits. It's like, no, actually, you anchor me from being probably a homeless bum, high on drugs, wandering around telling the world to them. Because my life could have spiraled if she wasn't there to anchor it.
See, mine's different. So prior, like there is a version of Gabi that is nothing like this. The pre-children version of Gabi, where I was very quiet because I wasn't allowed to be me. Like I wasn't allowed to be noisy. I wasn't allowed to be opinionated. I had to be the woman in banking that you said nothing. Yeah. You were just a woman. And I've actually had men tell me. Well, no, they just said to me, they were like, oh, can you come to this meeting but say nothing? He likes to have something pretty to look at. Honestly, I've had that said to me. If you want to destroy a woman, that's the best way. And quietly inside, I'm like, you absolute knob. But then I'm like, you pay me a lot of money and you're paying my mortgage and my renovation and so the story goes on. So what was interesting is I met Mitch when I was 17, and the way we met was he joined my school. He'd been in private school. He joined on what I call normal school. I was like, welcome to reality, babes. And I failed my ASs. Outright. 4 straight U's, absolutely fucking tanked it. I was like, do you know what really fucked me off is I've got really severe dyslexia. And I had worked my nuts. Honestly, I had killed myself. I had fucking tried. Yeah. It was awful. And I just had, and the only way I can describe it, and other dyslexics will probably relate to this, I just had a dyslexic day. There was nothing I could do. I couldn't get anything out of my head. It was literally like, do you know when you feel it spinning? Yeah. And it's like, I can't get it from here to here. But then because I was so articulate, my school were like, well, you don't need someone to write for you because you're fine, you know stuff, you can talk about it. And I was like, but I can talk about it, but I can't get it into my hand to write it. Failed outright, got my results, and I stood there in the 6th form. He walked over to me and gave me a hug. Didn't say anything, just gave me a hug and walked off. And I was like, you're interesting. And throughout my tough times in banking, he was always the guy that was like, Gabi, it's all going to be good. Just chill out. You'll find your right place. And he's always the one that grounds me from that perspective. When I feel myself spiraling into that, shit, I don't know what I'm going to do with my career. I'm not in control of it. Like, why is everything not going where I want it to go? Like, I run 1,000,000 miles an hour. Why does everything take 20 million years?
Why is everything behind me?
It's like, come on, guys, speed up. He was always the guy that was like, it's cool. And even those moments where, like, I don't have a huge friendship circle because I am a unique human being. Like, I'm very fast paced. I won't text you all the time. I'm not that girl. I'm like, I will text you and I will still be thinking of you and I'll still love you to death, but you could probably not hear from me for 6 months.
Yeah.
Like my parents have learned, they're like, if I hear from you, there's something wrong, is how my parents now deal with me. But Mitch has been that guy that's just kind of been like, Gabs, it's all good.
Yeah.
I'm in your corner, and he knows me so well. Like, we've known each other 20 years. We got married when we were 21. Like, we've been through all of it together, having the kids, doing the business. We're kind of looking at each other going, why am I doing this? Like, I could just be earning money and banking and chilling out and rolling around.
You get that, don't we? Fucking hell, I look at that sometimes. I was like, I could be on a cushy salary.
Oh,
in
tempting.
Yeah, and then because you're like, what the fuck am I doing? What am I doing? And then you see the little ones' faces, and and then you look at what you've kind of done
every day.
You know, because you said it earlier as well. Like everyone's like, "Oh, you're fucking smashing it! You're smashing it! You're smashing it!" And you're like, inside, you're like, "I'm not!
I'm not! Could someone please come and save me?
Yeah,
I need like
really,
a safety rope now."
Smashing it. But then you realise that actually we're still kind of measuring your smashing it with the money barometer.
Yeah.
Right? Because we only seem to relate success to money.
Yeah. What could I buy? What could I have? Yeah. What could I achieve?
Take the money element out of it. Of course, people are going to say you're smashing it. You work for yourself. Yeah. You're all over my LinkedIn. Everyone knows who you are. You get to do all these cool talks. You do this. You do that. You're fucking living. Because we forget that there was once upon a time where we were sat, in a suit and a tie, working for somebody, and we would look at those people and be like, "I wish I could do that." But we don't. We have this thing as humans. We just don't seem to ever stop and go. Like I've really learned that recently about sort of. I keep going on about it. Like, stop to smell the flowers. Stop to smell the flowers.
100%.
Because we just don't. Like, just stop and be like, "Fuck, man, I've done that."
You work very long hours that are exhausting. Like they are. Like people are like, "Oh," someone said to me the other day, they're like, "I worked a 12-hour shift." It's like, I work about 7 days a week. Chew your beans, babes. Like, it's cool. It's not a medal for working a normal day shift.
No.
But there are moments where you go, "Oh God, if I just went and had a normal salary." I mean, I laugh now. I say that I'm actually unemployable now because I'm full Gabi zone. I am employable, but I think I'd be a pain in the ass. You'd have to be a certain breed of owner.
I couldn't be an employee again. No. Only because I wouldn't be able to let somebody, knowing this is a bad idea, let somebody do it.
Yep, you'd say it and they'd be like, "You're in HR again," because you've upset someone, right?
Jesus, yeah.
But you're right. When I look back, whenever Mitch and I have been at those points, and we've only got one income, right? It's husband and wife team, rocking it together. There's no dilution. It has to work. And we look at each other and we're like, well, maybe one of us should go and get what we deem a real job, right? And we look at each other and we're like, would you sacrifice everything we've got right now? Like, in the morning, we both wake up and the girls come running in and we take our sweet time with our children. Like, if they want to come and have a cuddle, we'll have a cuddle, we'll get them ready. Yeah. Obviously, Phoebe's at school.
Yeah, I've got to be here.
There's no rush. And like, if someone's got a call, like Mitch will go out and do a call in the morning, or I will, and then we'll come back in. We always say goodbye to the girl, like to Phoebe when she's going to nursery. One of us is always with Maria all day. One of us always picks Phoebe up from school. Bedtime is always a family unit. We read 2 books. We play stupid running cuddles with the kids.
You place a load of value on that because we never had that when we were kids.
I never had that.
My dad didn't teach me to shave, ride a bike, tie my shoelaces.
They're not there. They're working.
Because he was running businesses and he was busy, and like.
And they're doing it for the right reason.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
100% for the right reason.
And it's like, I get that, and I respect that. And actually, it's sort of, without realising it, what you did was show me how to be a good dad in my eyes. Yeah. Because I now do the things that I wish you did with me, with my kids.
Yeah.
And I value that more than endless number of properties or whatever.
You have to put a value on it. Yeah. Like, there always has to be a value. And I think you're right. Like, I think there was definitely a generational thing where my parents worked exceptionally hard. My dad is a Brummie, which I love. I think that brings out my noisiness and gobbiness. Yeah. It's kind of fun. Yeah. Whenever I start heading further up north, I was like, I feel really comfortable up here. I was like, maybe I should just live up here. Southerners don't know what to do with me, quite frankly. They just kind of look at me and they're like, shit. Yeah. I'm like, I'm going back up north. But there was this generation where there wasn't really this choice to be like owning your own business and doing all this great stuff. It was, you worked for your salary. You did whatever they said. You jumped if you had to go traveling. It wasn't oh, my kids got their recital. It would be got your ass on a plane and piss off kind of thing. Yeah. And you're right. You kind of see things and you're like, do I want to be like that? And I mean, to be fair, like Mitch's family were like, his dad worked incredibly hard. His mum was stay-at-home mum. Also worked incredibly hard being a stay-at-home mum. Full credit to any parent at home with their children full time. It is real when you need half an hour moments. If anyone's watching Bluey, when Chili goes off and it's like, I need half an hour, and the kids are like, do you not love me? It's like, no, we do. That's why I'm halving half an hour, so I don't kill you in the next half an hour. But there's this mentality of you had to give. And I think even now when you're running a startup and there's other people around you who don't have children, who don't have those commitments and those, they're not even burdens, just those challenges that you have to face. You sometimes look at the people who are single being like, no one of your business is smashing it. Like you don't have any of this stuff.
Yeah.
But
you're not sitting there being like, fuck, I could get home because I've got the dinner on.
But I wouldn't, the relationships I have with my children and what I will always put first is them. And I still remember to this day, like I was sitting in the office and I had the door open because it was in the summer and Mitch was playing with Maria and I heard this almighty scream from the house. And I was on a video call with a prospect client and a really big prospect client. And I was like, hang tight. And I ran out the house. I ran out the office, ran into the house, came in and she'd slipped and she'd hit her head. It wasn't the end of the world, but it was a different cry to one she normally has. I gave her a cuddle, we settled her down, I walked back out, I sat down and I continued my meeting. For me, my children and my family will always come first. Always. And that doesn't mean I don't want to run a successful business.
The thing is, the fact that your prospect was like, no, you go and sort that out. Like, that's changed as well because we're not the only ones that it's like I put a post out the other day actually, but like I hate being called the older millennials. I think we should be called the Goonies.
I love that. I'm totally in for this.
But us Goonies, we're all going through this. Right? We're all parents and we're all kind of like growing into this world of like, no, my kids are the most important thing to me. It's
the new generation of that.
This is it. And so when I say to like a prospect and I'm having a demo of a product that I'm trying to get to know or whatever, and I'm like, look, I've got kids, like, you know, so
they might invade.
As soon as we start, it'll be daddy.
Yeah, daddy. They know. They have this radar for it.
Yeah. And they're like, no, it's cool, man. My kids are the same. And I hear that more than I do, oh, well, I mean, should we rearrange this?
I have had a couple. I've had a couple who've done it. And I just turned around and went, look, before we rearrange anything, you have to know this. My kids are my life. Right? They will come in. And I had Phoebe come in. Again, in the summer, I had my door open and our office is in the garden and we got a really weird garden layout, but she came up the driveway and into the garden and she literally came into my office and was like, Mummy, and wanted to tell me about her day. Obviously, I was like, Phoebes, I'm on a call. And she's like, yeah, but Mummy, this happened. I'm not going to stop her wanting to tell me a story because I'm telling her.
She's not emotionally intelligent to hold that thought.
No.
If she's doing that, it's because she wants to tell you something that's
something exciting
she's
in
really
her
proud
world.
of. Something's really massive and major.
But you don't want to dismiss it because actually, I always want her to run home from school, or if she's done something to come and tell me.
It's well documented the trauma of that though, when like
silenced.
Yeah, when you're silenced and all that sort of stuff, or shut up, go away, and that kind of thing. Those little things that happen to children as they then get older, it shapes their personalities.
100%.
Yeah, there's certain people that are like won't ever speak up for themselves.
Yep.
And it's usually because they're the ones that were scolded at the dinner table when they did try and talk.
You've got to be quiet. You've got to say nothing. Be seen and not heard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's just I think we are going through. You're right. We've got a whole generation group where they're just like, oh, well, you're not a millennial. You're not a Gen Z. You're not whatever other generations we've got coming up. Like we keep renaming them, and I'm losing track because there's no common sense to any of it.
Gen Alpha. That's how.
Oh, is that the new one?
That's how our kids are. They're going to change the world apparently.
Yeah. Right, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is when we talk about that, like they're going to change the world and the Gen Zs were going to change the world, it's like, holy shit guys, can we just chill the fuck out? Yeah. Every single group of individuals in this world who are alive and breathing are going through a day that they didn't have yesterday. Like you said, we're going through a generational change where obviously we're like, oh, there's more technology than ever before. That shit we have to deal with, right? Yeah. Like if you're entering the tech space and you're building a tech company, there is more tech vomited on the market than you've ever seen in your entire life. How do you differentiate? From a business owner, how do you differentiate what's better? You've got kids, you've got to look at the kids. You're now working from home. Lovely, but that's a whole different dynamic of juggling work and home. They're always like, oh, they're going to change the world. It's like, but everyone who's breathing and living is changing the world and going through an experience that they hadn't experienced yesterday. And actually, those who have been brought up around tech and social media, right? Lucky them. We haven't, which means actually we've got a bloody hard task. We've got catching up as every generation before us. But I always find it interesting. They're like, you need to target this generation because they're going to be this. It's like, they're not going to be shit. They don't have to be anything. You dictate. It will change.
You're setting yourself up for disappointment when they then turn around and go like, no, I ain't doing
well, it's a bit like what I was reading. I was reading something the other day. So there's this big wave, like of using artificial intelligence to read enthusiasm at interview stage. And even this discussion about getting a robot or an artificial intelligent person, whatever you want to call it, to do first round interviews. I'm pretty sure, agnostic of generation, I'd be like, if you can't give your time on the first interview to talk to me, you can pretty much piss off. I'm not hanging around for the second, third, fourth, or fifth. That's my view. There is a way of going, oh, well, the younger generations won't like it. It's like, I don't fucking like it. Yeah. Right? It's skin in the game and commitment. I don't fucking like it, right? It's not just their opinion that matters. Yeah. We all matter. Does anyone actually want to be treated like a piece of meat? No. They're like, oh, candidates won't come to interviews. No, they shouldn't come to an interview because you think your time is better than theirs.
It's like the interview. When people moved to the video interviewing thing, didn't they? Where it was like for your first stages, you record your video
answering your questions,
and then you send that, and then we'll decide if we want you.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a bit fucking shit, isn't it? Just like,
pick up the phone and have a chat.
Call me and ask me a few questions.
Have a video chat. Yeah. Like, I don't mind the video element. I don't mind that if you want to get a bit of a vibe. Like, I personally, I'm a massive advocate for video because with my dyslexia, I find it easier to process information having word and facial. Like, I put the whole scene together. When it's just voice, I can struggle kind of processing, interpreting, and then coming up with a response. There's definitely a difference. But if you're going to do an interview, do it that way. Although I did see a really cool piece of tech, which I absolutely loved. So it's basically an interview, but it's all written responses. But the interviewer is still the other side of it. So you'll write a question, I'll answer the first question, and while I'm doing that, you're reading the next question round. So it's circulating on the idea that people with like autism or neurodiversity, where they don't like this type of interaction and actually talking face to face or even by video can be very uncomfortable. It's addressing that. That is something I was kind of like, that's pretty cool. It's a very clever spin on it for a very unique set of requirements. I mean, if you did it to me, I'd be like, pick up a phone and talk.
What the fuck are we doing here?
What are we doing, right? You want... I think for me, it all comes down to when you're embedding tech and all this fun stuff in processes is how are you going to make someone feel? Like, if you said to me, Gaz, I want you to interview for my business, I'd be like, okay, cool. And you're like, first of all, you're going to talk to this robot. I'd be like, so what you're telling me is your time is more valuable than my time, and you still want me to come and work for you. If that's the tone you're setting on the first date, imagine where this is going to go in the second, third, fourth, fifth. When you can finally decide, coming back to your lording actually, when you decide to grace me with your presence. Right? Put skin in the game. Like, if you want to hire, be there, be present. I don't know. Very, very hard to be like, getting in front of people outside of the normal vintage techniques. It's tricky. And then you're looking for allies in your corner. Like you guys, right? This didn't cost me anything to be here. A bit of petrol. I'm all up. I love face to face. We already know this, right? I was like, I need to go and vibe off someone today. Let's go.
I had somebody ask me that once. They were like, I'd love to come on your podcast, but how much does it cost?
Honestly.
And I was like,
millions.
Are other people charging for their podcasts?
Yes, they do.
And he was like, I kind of feel like I've dropped you in this now. And I was like, no, if other people are charging for their podcasts, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
How much are they charging? I was like, what?
Honestly.
I'm going to make money on this. Like,
yes, you could.
Like, because for me, it was sort of like, no, it's a business development tool for me and a marketing tool for me. So why would I charge people to come onto it?
Because people like making money off both ends.
And this is the problem with our industry.
And this is what I hate more than anything in the world. Because Mitch and I always had this debate. It's like, if I spent X paying someone for me to share my knowledge, still doesn't make sense in a sentence when you say it out loud. Or I could go and take that money and invest in the tech and make my tech better for people who use our tech.
Yeah.
I know exactly which way I'm going to swing on that one, right?
Yeah.
But that's where the environment becomes so toxic. And they're just like, you go to big events and you're like, everyone always whinges. Like, you see the same brands over and over again. It's like, please, for God's sake, connect the dots. You only see them because they have empty pockets. For a lot of big tech companies, they close one deal and it'll cover their costs. I'm not that tech company. I want people to be better and I want to empower you. Therefore, my price is accessible.
Well, you've priced your product in such a way that if I'm a associate consultant working at Hayes, and I've told my boss about it, and they're like, yeah, look, we ain't got the budget, we're not going to do it. I'm going to go, but for 34 quid a month, I could do it. I could do it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to be making my sourcing better, which is going to make me commission.
It's going to make more money.
Give it a go. Right?
And you'd be amazed at how many clients we have on. They're in exactly that position. They were like, my manager doesn't have any budget. He's not got any interest, but actually, I want to kick the ass of the rest of my team and absolutely smash.
You started doing free trials as well, haven't you?
Yeah, so we now have a 7-day free trial. Like, to be fair, we never had it. It was always one of those things because it was such. It's actually it's not a complex tech build, but there is quite a lot of complexities of the dynamics of things that are moving. And we were like, I'd rather just deliver features that make benefit. And it was like, actually, people get really scared. Coming back to our point earlier of who you can trust, like. They get really scared, being like, well, I kind of get it, but I'm not really sure, and I don't want to give you my bank details, whatever. So we were like, we introduced it a couple of weeks ago, which is like, look, 7-day free trial. It works on a credit system, so you have a certain amount of credits for each thing. But if you upgrade to either a monthly rolling contract or our annual, you get unlimited and everything. But come and play and have a look. And it's been amazing because you suddenly get people coming on. And the nice thing is, we've got a fantastic operational process around it, shocking, where every client has access to us, every single client. And they're like, well, I can't call you, you're the co-founder of the business. Like, you can. I was like, I've got a live chat that's on my mobile that Mitch and I monitor, and if you have a question...
And you can just manage by AI in the future.
Exactly. Well,
voice cloning, all that sort of stuff.
I mean, you're talking to Gabi!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine an AI version of me? I think it'd be an absolute car
crash. Have you seen the AI outbound adverts and stuff?
No.
Oh, they come up on my Instagram all the time. Got always scrolling through reels and shit, right? And it'll be like, oh, hey, is that Gabi? Like, yeah. Hey, it's Nitin from RecTalk. Okay.
Oh, those ones, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a full-on sales call, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so good.
It's so good, but it's so. The thing I really struggle, and I think actually I laugh about introducing AI to answer calls and take calls and do sales. I think I will always mentally struggle with it. Not because I'm a dinosaur, because I love tech. I'm all about progressive tech. I hate boring copy-paste tech. I love pushing boundaries kind of stuff. But for me, especially in the recruitment space, I think so many recruiters have just been brought in and dumped on their heads.
Yeah.
They're like, go. And there is this sense then that there is very much like they have to survive. And it's the survival mentality where they're not really stepping back and thinking. What I want to embed into our business, and I have done since day one, is that love. Where actually, I do talk to every one of our clients. I have messaged every one of them personally, being like, how you getting on?
But you can still do that.
But I think when you add a tone of, I don't know if it's you or it's someone else.
Do you know what, okay, so what, do you know when you ring the bank?
Yeah.
And it's...
Please press 600 buttons till you get to the right person.
Option that, then option this, option that. Then option this. Option
you know what that does to my blood pressure? I'm like somewhere up here.
Exactly.
By the time I get to the person, I'm like, I was angry, but now I'm really hungry.
Yeah. So imagine a world where I'm a Virgin Money customer.
Yeah.
And all I want to do is cancel a direct debit.
Yeah.
Right. And I call through, and it's, hey, it's Richard Branson. Thanks for being a loyal customer. What are you calling for today?
I'm definitely not here.
What are you calling for today? And I go, Richard, I want to cancel such and such a payment on my credit card. And he's like, yeah, sure, no problem, we can do that for you. And it's done.
But you realise there's lots of those little things. Do you know those niggly bits where you have issues where you have to call tech companies or whatever, bank companies, whoever you want to call? What should be happening in those businesses is that they have a monitoring of the questions coming through. And then what they go and do is actually put it in a goddamn tech where it's easy to find. Like one of the buttons we did very early on was a cancel button. And it's one of the first things I spoke about in the demo. I'm like, there's a cancel button there. And they were like, why would you tell me this? Well, you're crazy.
There's no point in me hiding it from you.
But I'm like, I don't want to make it hard. But I also don't want to even have to pick up the phone to ask you to do something. I actually don't want to talk to you, quite frankly, unless there's something I really need to talk to you. But when I do need to talk to you, I want to goddamn talk to you.
Okay.
And that's my
so you
problem
replay
about
that
dynamic.
scenario, and it's like, hey, it's Richard Branson. Like, thanks for being a loyal customer. What can I do for you today? I need to talk to a human, mate.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. I'll transfer you straight through. Can you tell me quickly what it is about so I can inform them on the other side?
Yeah, but how many times do you get to the human and they're like, can you please repeat what you told us? But
right.
the point is valid.
I live in a very kind of like utopian mindset about AI, right? I just think that nobody wants to be a call centre worker.
No.
Nobody gets up and goes,
let's go talk to strangers.
I can tell you now, there are people, and I've trained these people working for previous employers and stuff, there are people in India who reluctantly go to work in these call centres and get nothing but abuse all day long, every day.
Yeah,
right?
It's not ideal.
Let's take the money element out a minute, because it's like, oh, well, you know, they've got
you're going to lose jobs.
Forget all of that for a minute, because we'll come back to kind of how corporations and how capitalism could support this.
Yeah.
But if AI can get rid of all the shit stuff that nobody wants to do,
where they just get
nobody
abused.
wants to work in a call centre, nobody wants to press 6 options to get through and then have to explain yet again what they're calling for, nobody wants to wait on hold.
But then you won't
if
have
I'm
that.
just calling to cancel a direct debit and it's got voice recognition software built in, and so Barclays know it's me immediately, thank you.
But how do they know it's you if there's voice cloning technology that can read it?
Because their technology is good, and I can confidently say that they're
I need to meet you. I need to meet your mate.
Honestly, it's fascinating the amount of detail we're going into right now. But the point is, I can call Barclays and say, "Hi, it's Nitin. Here's my sort code, my account number, here's my password, whatever it might be. I want to cancel the payment to DVLA because I've changed my car."
Yeah.
And they just go, "Done."
Cancelled.
Not. Yes, what are you calling about? Okay. Just a different department.
My favourite
And then
calls.
somebody else answers the phone like, "Oh, hey, just need to take you through security again."
Yeah, you're
and
like
all of that shit, right?
But then,
so customers are happier, infinitely happier.
But then you don't even need that, because actually there's a platform we've just integrated with, and luckily we get a startup discount. Because otherwise I'd be bankrupt trying to implement it. Where actually what I do is I load a database of information, like literally vomit everything in. So actually, when you ask a question, it automatically knows the answer, as if I was actually writing it. So actually, you don't even need to.
But some people don't like reading.
No,
right? I can't. If a big paragraph
give me a
comes to me,
comment, but
I read the F, like the top line.
And you stop.
Yeah,
like I'm done.
Yeah, I don't want to read any more than that. I like just.
Give me what I need.
I called you to cancel the direct debit. Just cancel it. It should not take me any longer than 50
I guess in those
seconds on a phone
scenarios.
call in this day and age to ring my bank and cancel my direct debit.
No,
it shouldn't take me any longer than 2 minutes start to finish
but then,
to call Sky and tell them I no longer want
my sports package. But they are red tape heaven. Financing and banking will always be red tape heaven, right? It'll be a pain in the ass. But the point is, you shouldn't have to do it.
AI could deliver all of that.
It can do, yeah.
Right? But we just have this like thing of like, no. And then it's almost like we're that group of people we talk about that are like, no, the world's changing and it shouldn't, and this is the way it should be.
We become that.
Yeah, we're now doing that. Because I'll tell you, if you speak to the majority of Gen Z people, they don't want to call a call centre.
No.
They don't really even want to have to go into online banking.
I won't sign up to technology or a provider that I can't do what I want to do when I want to do it without having to call someone. Yeah. I don't want to. If I have to call you, we've got a problem.
Yeah.
I want to just be able to go, right, I'm going onto my app today and I want it to do this. Like I signed up to a new piece of technology for cold emailing. Mm-hmm. And the website was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Stunning. Yeah. And I'd used it in the past and I was like, okay, cool. Like actually, I'm going to take another stab at this and see whether I was just being a twat and getting it wrong. We're all on a learning journey of written emails, especially with a dyslexic. It's fucking hilarious. Sometimes like you just send emails. I'm like, I hate writing. What have you not heard in this sentence? And honestly, I signed up 4 months later and they'd done a whole UI change and it was a car crash. I was like, I'm getting a migraine just looking at the shit, and I couldn't find the cancellation button because it was embedded in somewhere that was embedded in something else, and I had to ring them. And they're like, please, can you confirm who you are? And I'm like, this is who I am. You know this is who I am because I've told whatever AI was at the front of this phone call, this is who I am. And I'm still the same person because I'm still on a call. I can feel my anger and I'm like, I want to cancel. Why do you want to cancel? Because I want to, okay? Do you know that conversation with salespeople? Like, why do you want to cancel? Could we give you a discount? No, you could just give me a piece of tech that works. It would be fabulous. I mean, I think it is scary. I think like every tech evolution, it will always be scary. But for us, like Mitch used to recruit in mobile robotics. So actually the stuff he's seen and heard,
there's stuff that's never made it to market.
It will never. The version we've got of AI and all this stuff, like when ChatGPT launched, all I did was look at Mitch and went, we've got the cannon fodder version of whatever the hell is in government hands. We haven't got the good shiny stuff, because if we did, it would blow our baby brains out. I mean, we're blowing our brains out now, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
But I think we are on a danger point to an extent, not that you shouldn't adopt it. Like, I think we should. I think we should always push ourselves to be better and drive forward and look at the best ways we can utilise what's in front of us. 100%. Love it. That's why I love what I do. That's why I love the conversation I have with people. But I do think people need to get smarter on procurement.
Yeah.
Every single day of the week. I think especially in the recruitment space, I think it's always been a bit slapdash. We're always like, just pick something up.
Shit tech.
They buy shit tech, or they buy what their mate said. There is this big sheep mentality in recruitment, and I mean, if you're on the piece of tech they're buying wave, Merry Christmas to you. The problem I have is when someone rings me and goes, Gabs, I want to buy Tooled Up Racoons. I'm like, why? And they're like, well, this person's recommended it. I was like, that's lovely, but now talk to me about your business. And they're like, why does it matter? It matters because your business is your business. Your culture is your culture. Your people are your people. The roles you're working are the roles you're working, and the clients you're working with. I find it very, very infrequent to fall across a recruitment business that has a procurement process that makes my life hard. They don't ask me. I'm like, do you want to know this? They're like, why? I'm like, well, you don't have to. Like, I don't mind, but do you want me to show you an example of what it does? Why? I was like, because I know what you're going to do. You're going to buy a piece of tech, you won't use it, and you'll wish I had showed you.
And then you'll start asking questions about, did it do this? Does it do that? Oh, it didn't. We thought it did this. And you're like, it didn't. But I think, again, like this talk, I'm doing a talk on the 15th about procurement. And I did one with HRTX the other week. They had this big thing on AI, and I was like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what tech you should buy. Like, obviously, everyone's vomiting. Like, my favourite piece of tech is blah, 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 and it's literally like vomit. And I'm like, that works for you. That's wicked. I'm so proud of you. But stop telling people to buy shit. I want you, like the way I described it was literally, I want you to sit there and I want you to map out your dream process, beginning to end of your recruitment process, whatever, with your in-house agency, I don't care. Map it out, all of it, and put KPIs next to everything. What do you wish you had achieved? Then draw a map of where you are today. And then look at the delta between them and go, right, where am I missing? What's wrong? Why am I missing? Is it people driven? Is it process driven? Is it client driven? Is it tech driven? Have I got something that's not connecting? Then and only then do you start a procurement process to pick up a piece of technology. And I'm like, every quarter people should be reviewing their process. Nah, you just got to go to the recruitment expert and buy whatever.
Whoever's got the biggest pockets, right?
Wow! I got 6 pens out of them.
I know, right? And a cuddly toy, and a portrait, and a DJ booth at another one. But it's so, and I take it really seriously. And I walk into businesses now, and I'm like, I will help you.
Do you know what that is though? That's because of the size of business that you are versus the size of businesses that are selling in that manner.
Yeah.
You signing up a 100 user business, you'll feel that 6 months down the line when they go, no, that was a shit buy, let's stop.
Yeah.
Right? Because they misunderstood the product, didn't do the
due diligence.
Yeah. And so you as a business the size that you are, you'll feel that loss.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you've got a funnel this side that's pouring in just as many customers so that you can give them a poor service and they come out that end and no one's none the wiser, right? And there's plenty of those businesses out there that we know of. And that's the difference.
It is. But I also think that I also hope I'll never become that. Even if I have clients pouring in left, right and centre, I'm a firm believer, like I have my background.
Yeah, but you won't be able to scale the current product.
But you can.
In the way that you currently sell it. Because
not with me and Mitch selling it. There's only one of me. But that's
Mitch,
where...
AI
well, I guess...
I completely agree with what you're saying, right? There's recruitment agencies out there that scale based entirely upon sort of the way in which they interact with their customer base, be it clients or candidates, and the extra mile that they go and that kind of thing. And, you know, that's their culture and I get all of that, I do. But I think if tomorrow, all of a sudden, you know, the recruitment industry woke up to the importance of Boolean search, and we're like, we need your product, we need your product, we need your product. And it was a choice of, I need to scale, I need people, I can't cope with this anymore. The easy thing to do would then just to be like, the first 10 people that turn up to this interview are getting a job because I just need bums on seats. And I think it takes you back to that point of AI. You don't want AI Gabi. But AI Gabi would always be a better choice than the first 10 people that turned up.
Probably, yeah. Right. So actually we had to do mass scaling, But it still means, but the point is about the customer service point, there is no excuse.
No, I agree with you. I completely agree
excuse.
with you.
And I think it's a binnable offence.
It should be. But this is the point, because we accept in our industry. I hate this, and I hate to admit this, but we accept mediocrity.
All
we
the
accept
time.
it. We embrace it.
Oh,
It's so
you're like,
fucking
it is
annoying.
what it
It's like,
is. It's
yeah,
not is what it is.
Well, you know, what else are we going to do?
Everything
Go
else.
to a new supplier.
Everything.
Say something.
Everything.
Get annoyed by it. Shout about it.
They
Go
don't.
back to, no, it's just, oh, well, you know.
But that grinds me. And you can see that in their responses to a lot of stuff, where I talk to them and I get people to send me booting strings. I'm like, look, let me have a look. And I'm like, look, this, and this, that would have smashed it. Done. And they're like, oh, well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Why are you making your life so hard? This comes back to my point that I think so many recruiters get picked up, dumped on a desk, and left like a neglected child. So they behave like a neglected child.
They don't. Like,
just step in.
They don't want to be there.
They don't want to be there. They're not in love with what they do. And then when you call them and be like, you could smash this, they're like, but I'm just kind of making money. I'm just kind of hitting target. But I think some of it actually, like when you look at sales targets, right? At the end of the day, agencies are driven by like. A lot of people move into the agency space to make a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
But then they start capping their commissions. I live in a world where uncapped commission was a thing. Like, it was absolutely A-game. It's like, do you know what? If you want to make $500,000 in a month for your boots, I'm not going to stop you.
Yeah.
The difference is when you have organisations that run like that, they're the guys that are sitting there at the table, or girls, whatever, sitting there going, I want to be the best of the best. I want to push. I'm going to drive. Gabby, what are you talking about? Show me what you're doing. Right, shit. Mine was shit. I lost that. What action do I need to take? When you see people in capped-based roles, or where the commission is tiered as it gets higher, you're like, I made my commission. Mm-hmm. What did you think was going to happen with that person? They're not. They're motivated by money, and you're putting a block to them. It makes no psychiatric sense.
I don't think the new generation are motivated by money.
Oh, what's wrong with them?
They're not. Do you know, I honestly, and I say this from experience because we had somewhat of a generational divide when I ran my agency with the staff that we had, and it was very evident that they're not. We used to, I used to pick up a job and immediately be like, how much commission am I going to make on this when I feel it, not if, when I feel this job.
So what are they motivated? Like, what are they motivated by then? Why are they there?
Time.
Okay, cool. I can sell you time.
That's what my experience of it was. If I said to them, right, guys, if you can, my temp bill, if you can get 2 temps out this week, right?
You can have Friday afternoon off.
You can have Friday afternoon off. By Tuesday, got my 2 temps out.
But to be fair, that's not that much dissimilar to us. So if we rewind our entire conversation, earlier we spoke around having time, breakfast, lunch, dinner with our kids, bathing them, getting to bed. We want the money, but the way they're articulating their need is through time.
We wanted the money because we wanted to buy our first house, buy our first car.
I want the money to buy me time to be with my kids. Because without money...
because we're further on in life now.
Yeah, we're old.
Yeah, well, yeah, but no, we ticked the boxes that were set in front of us.
Yeah, we did the house, we did
the
kids.
Go to uni, get a degree. If you don't do that, get an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Get your first job. Get to your first 25 grand a year. That was a tick mark. Earn your first 35 grand a year. That was a tick mark. Get your first deposit together. Tick. Buy that first car. Tick. Pay for that wedding. Tick.
So now what are the youngsters' ticks?
They can't. They're not going to buy a house. No. Most of them can't afford to buy a house. No. Right? So that's off the table. They don't care about that. We moved to a team commission structure in the end because they asked us to. Because they were like, we just want to feel like we've all achieved.
Although I do like that, because Mitch and I said that with our sales team. It'd be like, you're okay, you can have your own commission, but actually we like the idea of there being a team annual pot where it all accrues and then we...
So we were like, we've given you guys commission calculators, not a fucking single one of you knows how to use it or even bothers using it, blah, blah. Had a very open forum and they were like, guys, can we move to a commission platform that's like a team-based one? What do you mean? Well, can we have a team target and an office target, and if we hit that target, anything above that, we get paid on, and that then gets divvied out between all of us.
Merry Christmas.
And I was like, well, yeah, of course you can, but why is that? And they were like, well, because it's a bit unfair, and this person, honestly, it was.
They don't worry about carrying others. No. They want everyone to feel not isolated.
Because they're all in that same boat.
It's kind of a nice generational evolution, though, is it? It's a beautiful
right.
evolution to actually, instead of being like...
Because the thing is, we try and motivate them with the things that motivated us. And then we get frustrated and call them lazy.
They're not. It's
just, and it's not that they're fucking lazy. It's just you don't know how to motivate your guys. They want you can have your Friday afternoon off. Do you know what would work even better? Tell them they can have the whole Friday off. Watch how much fucking work they get done that week.
It's interesting, though. Like this... when we bring it back to selling tech, like if you look at every website known to man, it's like, I'm going to save you time, money, blah, 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 blah. But I think we're about to have a generational wave that actually truly will not buy unless they know you. Unless they feel like they've got skin in the game with you. They want touch. They want touch time with you. They want that physical, like...
They want to feel like they know you. They want to feel like... Mate, honestly, I say this to people all the time, and I'm obviously, when I'm pitching RecTools and talking about what it is we're doing, and I'm like, people don't buy from just a cold call anymore. No. And probably never did, right? We're not in 1950s America where a vacuum salesperson can knock your door and demonstrate the vacuum, and then the housewife buys it and shows it off to the husband when they get home. That's not the world we're in. No. They want to see you. They want to feel like they know your brand. They want to know what journey you've been on. They care about the individuals that work in your business, and one shitty tweet from a member of your staff will ruin your reputation, right? But equally, one moment of that member of staff who works for this business did this and it went fucking, what a nice thing to do, what a great person, will change people's opinion on you and your business. Take Brewdog, perfect example. Brewdog, everybody in the world loved Brewdog, amazing company, until it come out what an absolute knob James is, right? And look, he might not be. All I know is he hates recruitment agencies, so immediately I was like, well, I hate you too.
It's alright, I sold to TA as well, so I said both sides of this card.
But but the thing is, it's like, and no matter how hard that guy tries now, he can't turn that around. No. And eventually, for that business to now continue on the growth that they've had on, I can tell you now, in the next 3 years, he will step down, because he'll have to step down.
He'll be forced out.
It's done.
But this comes back to our point a minute ago about customer success being a choice. Because actually your customer success is your next representation, right? You feel all the love. When a salesperson comes at you, it's like, I love you. Oh, you're the best thing. Oh, your business is so complicated. I could really help, right? You feel that love.
It's such a unique proposition.
Oh my gosh. How did you come up with this? A recruitment agency? Genius. Right? I love it.
I was like, oh, it's such a unique proposition. I was like, I run a recruitment agency.
So is everyone else, right?
Fucking clown.
But you feel that love. You feel that attention. You feel like your ego's being inflated. But I think we're hitting a generation that don't need their egos inflated. No. They want to know how you can help them. They buy based on reviews, they buy based on recommendation, they buy based on networking. And they will stay based on how loved they feel when they feel lost.
Post-purchase.
So that customer success piece that we're talking about, this AI stuff, it'll be interesting to see their take, right?
Why do you think people moved away from the Twitch streaming platform and all of a sudden there's all these others that have grown out there? That's what
they're fluid. They need love. They want. I think they've also, if you think about it as well, we've done a COVID generation, and we talk about it a lot, right? There's the COVID generation, and my daughter was a COVID generation, right? And it's interesting as you see those kind of teenagers who got caught in it coming into the workplace. They were isolated for 2 years, or some of them over 2 years. What makes you think that won't have a ripple effect? They won't want an AI. So we spoke about the chat. They won't want that. They will want to feel potentially that contact, that touch time with someone. Maybe. I mean, I'm making speculation. Or maybe they'll want the AI more. A lot of tech businesses in the recruitment industry will capitalise on people's lack of ability to do something. Yeah. And a lot of people are going through tech fatigue. They are. They've invested in such. I'm tired of it.
Well, but post-COVID, so many recruitment agencies that I've spoken to invested in a ton of this and that does that and that does this and that does that, and then fundamentally they're like, but our recruiters didn't use it. Comes down to your procurement process that we spoke about earlier, right? Yeah. Because if you don't need it, then actually one of the things I talk about is A, identifying what you need, B, identifying the tech that will solution it, or the person or whatever it is that you need to fill it. And then the final bit is how you implement it. And one of the biggest things I always say is if you really needed that tech, because there was really a problem, you should have a point person in-house, in your team, or a couple of people that are your go-tos, they're checking in on the team, being like, let me have a look at your strengths, let me see what's going on, being that embedded person. So I don't think it's the tech's fault. I think it's actually largely the recruitment businesses getting overexcited. They've got spare cash, because let's be honest, they earn big money out of these fields. And they're like, oh, I can just, like they're in a strip club for tech, they just do this. And they're like, oh, it didn't work. Making it rain in the tech. Making it rain in the tech, right? This will be your new gesture, that's going to be the thumbnail. Oh my God. Making it rain in the tech game. Did you see that new post that this person put out about the secret LinkedIn stuff? They're like, I was like, I have no idea what she's talking about.
Like, she's really knowledgeable, but I couldn't translate it into what I call English.
Yeah.
There's like that, there's geek in and then there's English.
Real world
and
talk,
that's the problem, is you end up with the people, like majority of recruiters, if you ask them today, if I said to people, like, go and send me every Boolean string, anyone who's listened to this podcast, send me a Boolean string, you'd be amazed at the level of quality that I see the difference in. But if I said we're going to go and do a hackathon, come along, it's that fear of inadequacy kicks in, that they won't be able to compete with the rest. So it's actually, for us, it's very much, how do you find that middle ground where you're empowering those who don't know anything to come and get better. But actually, it's just empowering everybody to be like, do you know what? What if Gabi and Mitch know something?
Yeah, this is accessible.
It's accessible to everyone.
This doesn't have to be something that you're like, I'm scared of this. It's codey.
It's not codey, but that's the way the tech is being designed. Like, remember, you don't cut me open and bleed recruitment. Mitch does. So actually, when you listen sometimes to Mitch talk, his level of geek is next level of geek. I'm the one who came in and was like, operationally, this makes no sense. We could do this. Wow, this makes sense. There is logic. There is commonality. So actually, when I talk to people about Boolean, it's just like, if you understand and or not, brackets, quotation marks, you and me and swinging, and I bet you've used one of those in a sentence today. And they're like, yeah, I have. I want to bring the world in, not ostracize them away and feel that it is only for this group of people. It's a technique that every recruitment business needs to adopt. And there's no ambiguity about it. The question is how well are your team adopting it? And that's where we come into play to kind of help with that. But yeah, everyone should come and play, not be scared. Otherwise we don't learn and grow. What's the point? That's a mic drop for the end, isn't it?
I think that's exactly what
Stop us talking!